So tell me about the project. What did you discover?
So what we saw is that it indeed reduced oxidation.
Okay.
What we did is a 2x2 factorial. So it's an effect of the combination of treatments. So we had vitamin E yes, vitamin E no, and then we had dry age yes, dry age no. So we had 6 of each treatment, and then we saw the reduction of oxidation on both. What was surprising is that for the dry age beef, it was like we had less oxidation than the wet age beef with vitamin E.
Okay.
So we did not expect that, because you would think that, because it's dry age, it's going to oxidize a lot more. However, it oxidized less. And that was because of the concentration effect that happens with the loss of moisture during dry aging. So we had a lot of vitamin E in the steaks.
Welcome to MeatsPad, a platform dedicated to sharing breakthrough knowledge that is accessible to the meats industry. On each episode, we will hear from meat specialists and professionals to talk about numerous topics in meat science. This podcast is brought to you by the U.S. Meat Export Federation, the Niche Meat Processor Assistance Network, UltraSource, the new standard for innovation. Viscofan is a global leader and innovative partner in the food industry who provides solutions for the casing market.
IFA, slaughter and meat processing tools.
Hello, meat folks. Welcome back to the MeatsPad podcast. It is Phil Bass, once again flying solo. Francisco's out making the world a better place for us meat enthusiasts. And we have a special guest with us today, David Velazco. We actually had David's dad here with us a year ago, and David's carrying on the tradition, the legacy, and is a recent graduate of the master's program at the University of Nebraska. Is that right?
Correct.
David, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
And currently you're at Colorado State, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Did your bachelor's degree at Kansas State?
Yes, in food science.
And so far has focused quite a bit on beef research.
Yes.
So what I'd love to I had the pleasure and opportunity to have a chance to listen to David present a little bit of his research at the University of Nebraska. It was last summer, I believe.
Yes.
And I was intrigued because for a long time we've known that feeding antioxidants, specifically vitamin E, to beef cattle is a good thing. And what David did was take it to the next level. And so tell us about your project. Tell us what you found, and what are some of the recommendations we can share with folks?
So what we did essentially was trying to feed excess vitamin E to cattle, and then see its effect on dry aged beef.
Okay.
Because dry aged beef is going to be in like hyperoxidative environment. It's not with a package, so it's going to oxidize a lot. We wanted to see the effect of the excess of vitamin E in it. So what we did is we fed 2,200 international units of vitamin E per head per day to cattle to see that effect. And just to put things in context, the national recommendation for it is 60.
Wow.
So we were feeding, we went over it.
Astronomical levels. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about the project. What did you discover?
So what we saw is that it indeed reduced oxidation.
Okay.
What we did is a 2x2 factorial. So it's an effect of the combination of treatments. So we had vitamin E yes, vitamin E no, and then we had dry age yes, dry age no. So we had 6 of each treatment, and then we saw the reduction of oxidation on both. What was surprising is that for the dry age beef, it was like we had less oxidation than the wet age beef with vitamin E.
Okay.
So we did not expect that, because you would think that, because it's dry age, it's going to oxidize a lot more. However, it oxidized less. And that was because of the concentration effect that happens with the loss of moisture during dry aging. So we had a lot of vitamin E in the steaks.
It really got concentrated as a result. And so let's break this down a little bit, because you're talking about oxidation, but what does that do to meat color? Is that what you were mostly looking at?
So it's both flavor and meat color what we're most interested in, and there's debate on which one starts first in meat science. Yeah. Some scientists say that it's a lipid oxidation, some other scientists says that it's a pigment oxidation, but they're both autocatalytic. So once it starts, it just rampages up. Yeah. So we were focused on both, and we did both instrumental color and we did subjective color. Okay. For subjective, it was 6 students just going in every day at the same time.
Trained, of course, not just random people off the street, right?
Yeah, trained, and they also have like a reference on the side. of the percentages, just to kind of have a base all the time of what it is. And what happened was, of course, the treatments with vitamin E discolored less quick as compared to the controls, of course. And then the instrumental color also showed that data, but not as expressed as the individuals. Because if you think about it, when you put the colorimeter on, you're getting an area this big times 6,
tiny,
compared to the visual assessment, which is a lot bigger.
Yep, it's the entire steak. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we also did the flavor thing, which is the flavor analysis of trained panelists in Texas A&M by Dr. Rhonda Miller. And we did principal component analysis, and we saw that the flavors, like dry aged beef, when it's supplemented with vitamin E, keeps the good attributes of dry aging, kind of like the buttery, nutty things that come with it, but you get away from the negative aspects, which are like fishy, metal
Metallic,
flavor.
And the oxidated, the rancid flavors
Exactly.
that can come about, right?
Yes.
So
And this type of projects are important because you don't see dry aged beef in retail.
right.
You usually see dry aged beef. You don't see it until you purchase it in a restaurant,
Right.
essentially.
Yeah. Or at least very limited in retail.
Exactly. We're starting to see like a little bit more, but these are the types of interventions that would really make it go to the next step.
The mission of USMEF is to increase the value and profitability of the U.S. beef, pork, and lamb industries by enhancing demand for their products in export markets through a dynamic partnership of all stakeholders. Simply put, USMEF is putting U.S. meat on the world's table. Since 1883, Ultrasource has been a trusted supplier to the food industry. Ultrasource provides superior kill floor, processing, packaging, and labeling equipment and operational supplies.
You know, I've spent a lot of time in my career just trying to better understand dry aging and dry aged beef, and you know, always my recommendation has been to just put it in a vacuum package and freeze the darn thing. But the reality is, if we really want to continue to progress with the sales of this value-added product, as I would call it, we do need to try to get it more into the retail market, and this may be a solution to help maintain some of that color stability, because as you said, as soon as you cut into dry aged product, it starts to turn color. And not in a good way. It really starts to brown quickly. It can oxidize as a result. And so this is a great step in trying to mitigate that.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of reducing capacity normally.
Right. Yeah.
After all that extended aging during those in those conditions.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, and maybe you could tell us a little bit more about what happens, because my colleague at my day job, Dr. Michael Colley, he's done quite a bit of research on extended aging and what's going on biochemically. Yeah. And so I don't know, is that something you're comfortable sharing with the listeners?
Well, we have the Calkins system, which is believed to be the one responsible for the change in tenderness. But during dry aging, we dry age not for tenderness, we do it for flavor.
Right.
So it's a product that it's considered a luxury product because it loses water, so it's going to be inherently more expensive because we sell it by weight. And it should be considered like a wine or a cheese. Yeah. You know, but the problem with those products, as well as the opportunity, is that you don't know if you screwed up until it's too late.
Yeah.
You know? So doing alternatives like feeding vitamin E, it's a good way of like kind of protecting yourself and leaning that towards the positive side at the end of the things.
So with this benefit of vitamin E that you've experienced, it's clearly a color difference. How much more time does a meat cutter or a meat merchandiser have once that product is cut after feeding it vitamin E?
So what we saw in my study for the wet age treatments, which is what you would see in retail most of the time, was about 3 to 4 days more.
Wow.
And that's above an A-star value above 14.5 and a discoloration under 20%.
Okay.
And what was surprising is that the dry age one had even more days. It was crazy because even after extended shelf life and extended aging, we found that it was about 12 days stable in retail.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot. So if you think about the value added, it cost about $8 or $7 per head to feed the vitamin E. But think about how much it's worth your steak every day that it's in the shelf.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't have that shrink in the meat case. You're able to you're going to be better able to merchandise that product wholly, and you're not going to have to discount it to sell it if it does, which is what happens so often when product does change color in the meat case.
Correct.
Yeah.
Consumers buy with their eyes.
Yeah.
So it's important to keep that appearance that's desired.
That is such a significant increase in days of shelf life. That's incredible.
It's amazing, and it gets you thinking of, we have a problem of meat waste just because of color change during retail display. We want the color to be blooming for the consumers to buy it, but then that also makes the meat to go change color rapidly. So feeding vitamin E is a very good alternative. However, the finisher doesn't get anything if they feed vitamin E. So that's something that we need to start considering. So
ultimately, it will come down to the ranchers, the producers, the finishers, as you said, to incorporate this into the diet. At $8 a head, that may be a little bit steep. And granted, we don't have we don't necessarily have evidence right now to say that if we fed less, that we would still see the same result. But do you think we could feed maybe a little bit less, cut the cost down for the producer, and still see a good benefit of feeding vitamin E?
Of course, since most of the meat is not sold dry aged.
Yeah.
Of course, we could feed less. Like I said, this is an excess. We're going from the recommended 60 to 2,200. Yeah. So, of course, we can find a very sweet spot in between where products that are not going to be dry aged are going to be benefit from the dietary supplementation of vitamin E.
Yeah. Well, definitely a consideration, and for the processors out there who are interested in this is a conversation you definitely need to have with your rancher partners. But it may be a benefit, and it may be something that as a processor, you may be willing to pay a little bit more for, because you could potentially sell it at a premium.
Correct, and also you have those added days. Yep. What's very nice about vitamin E is that it's digested and metabolized as a fat. And since it's believed that oxidation starts in fats, especially in the unsaturated membranes, this means that you have the vitamin E exactly where you need it. Well,
David, I really appreciate this opportunity to have you share your research. I think it's fascinating. I really do hope that the industry adopts this type of technology in some form or fashion. If anything, we can enhance the value of the product. We can extend the shelf life, but then that also means we're going to have a bit less food waste, and so that might be a big selling point ultimately down the road.
Less food waste, and a lot more quality.
So. Yeah, and still selling the product at full price instead of having to discount it to move it, right?
Correct, or grind it like some people do.
Oh boy, yeah. Hate to do that with a steak. So.
Exactly. I would hate so too.
David, how did you get involved in meat science?
Well, my dad is a meat scientist, so I had a scholarship at K-State. I actually studied food science, but I worked in the meat lab, and I was involved since I started my career. Yeah. So it's a great way to get into science in general, because it's something so close to us. Food is something so close to us that once you start, it's easy to get into the experimentation when you can try it. You can be like, okay, this happens when this oxidizes, or this doesn't happen when it doesn't oxidize. These flavors appear with this oxidation, and these things don't. So it's a very good way, and I recommend it for anybody that really don't know what to study right now. Go into food science, go into meat science. It's a great career path, and you will always have a job.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very rewarding. Yeah. I really appreciate the discipline anyway, and it sounds like you're just carrying on the family business.
Yes.
And which is pretty darn cool. But it's also something that you have interest in, and so
of course.
Yeah. So we wish you luck on your future endeavors at Colorado State, and hopefully we'll get a chance to interview you again with whatever may come.
All right.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.